Hello students, Mrs. Moore bringing you ELA 7 Summer School. It's Friday, woohoo! This is lesson 1.5 and so that is week 1, the 5th day, Friday. Very good. So we can see by our schedule, again under the heading of resilience and success, Egypt's pyramids. Okay, that's what today's article is, Egypt's pyramids. And here we have it. You can see I've been annotating like a good little girl. Now, again, this is going to be nonfiction because we know the pyramids are real. And if you are like most children your age, young adults, I beg your pardon, you've probably heard quite a bit about the pyramids and maybe even done some reading of your own because it is pretty fascinating, actually. It's particularly fascinating to look into, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if it was the 1830s. If I'm wrong, forgive me. But when the English had this kind of mummy fever, one might say, where rich, young, adventure-seeking teams that would include archaeologists and there's got to be somebody wealthy to fund it, all of that. These teams would come together and they would look for treasure. And if you've ever seen Brendan Fraser in The Mummy, that movie, that's a great, thrilling, scary movie that depicts that era pretty well. But there was something considered to be the curse of King Tut. And that part I always found kind of freaky. You're not supposed to mess with the final resting place of the dead because there's supposed to be a curse put on it, right? And the article touches on this just a little bit. But it's almost uncanny that a lot of the people involved in finding King Tut's tomb did meet with untimely deaths. So I hope you have the lights on. I hope you're not scared. Did I scare you? I think it's scary, okay? Spooky, gives me the heebie-jeebies. I'm not going in somebody's tomb. Oh, no I'm not, because there are bugs there. That's part of it. I'm more afraid of the creepy crawly bugs than a ghost. I mean, unless it's night, then I'm scared of the ghosts. Okay, let's get back to business, guys. I don't know why you distract me and you talk about stuff that's not really relevant sometimes, but here we go. Your job is going to be to read and annotate Egypt's pyramids, and it's pretty interesting, particularly some of the vocabulary we're given, such as the word ka, if I'm saying it right, and I'm not Egyptian. I know you thought I was, but I'm not, which is like a soul, a second self, okay? And that's kind of fascinating that the Egyptians were among the first cultures to believe that somehow you existed after your physical body died. That's interesting. But you might imagine that if we're talking about resilience, part of this article will be about building the pyramids. And those of you who have ever studied this era, or you know well the Bible story of Moses saying, "Let my people go," we know the Hebrews who were enslaved and did the building. So this isn't simply a matter of how did they do it, but the human labor they used, and how those people endured. Success. Success here is the fact that they were able to build something like this that stays on Earth for centuries so that we can see them and learn about the past, building something so lasting. It made me think a little bit of, if you guys have watched the movie about the monkeys, Planet of the Apes, that's what it is. Sometimes I forget things. Those are the original movies with Charlton Heston. If you need something to do this summer, get your parents, get some popcorn, sit on the couch and watch the Planet of the Apes. They're freaky, scary, delightful movies that show us things that could have happened. And there are kind of frightening scenes at the end when I don't want to ruin it, but anytime I see that pyramid, I think, wow, look at how this has lasted all these years. And it gives you a shiver to think there were people alive once building this, and here is a lasting testament to what they did. You're going to be asked questions afterwards, pretty good questions. I give the people who created this decent grade. Questions about why memorials are built. And I think that's going to be fun and challenging for you to think about. So think of memorials for ordinary folks, but memorials for famous people too, and you'll come up with some wonderful ideas that will spark interesting conversations. And again, if you're ever stumped as you're doing this work, I think there's nothing better that you could do than bring this to the dinner table one night with your parents and your siblings and say, I've got an article to read. You want to listen? You want to help me think about it? And chances are they will. So, something you can do. Look at that, guys. You have made it through the first week of summer school. I will see you then next Monday. I hope you're having a nice summer. I know not everything is open yet, but I hope you are watching good movies and doing some reading for pleasure, drawing, making music, whatever it is that you like to do, hanging out with your dogs. So I will see you next week. Until then, adios.